Hi, my name is Dr. Matt Wiest, and today I am here with Torque Fitness to go over some different tools that you can use to age stronger and feel good in your body as you progress through life. A big part of that is going to be working on building up strong knees. So I am a clinic owner in the Twin Cities. My business is called the Center of Movement, and I work with a lot of people who have been active their whole life. And what ends up happening is they find themselves pushing their bodies in different ways, trying different things, and they're not recovering as fast as they would like to. So I've built a business around helping to empower people to feel resilient and age strong. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on the knees and building up some strength around the knee joint. And we're gonna use the TANK M3 to kind of demonstrate how this can be done super efficient with one tool from Torque Fitness. So before we get started, I'm just gonna run you through a quick warm-up just to get some blood flowing to the muscles that support the knees and also get those joints exposed to a little bit of flexion and extension. So if you have access to some space to go for a walk, or if you have a treadmill, that'd be a great place to start, maybe for 2 to 5 minutes, somewhere in there. Or another thing that you could do, as long as your knees felt like they could handle it, is maybe go for a quick bike ride outside or on a stationary bike, again, just to get some blood flow to the lower body. So after you're done on your treadmill, on your bike, or done going for that walk, then you can kind of come and find a chair, a couch. I'm using this plyo box, but really anything that you can support your foot on so we can work on getting that knee joint into some end range flexion and some end range extension. So for flexion, you're gonna take a step up, and this is just gonna help to create a little more safety around that joint. So maybe if you're like, yeah, bending my knee that much hurts, I find that if you support it up on top of a structure, you can really start to expose it to that range of motion with a little bit more grace, and usually it feels a little bit better. So we're just gonna work into that range of motion, maybe 10 repetitions on each side, just slowly going a little bit deeper each time. After you've done that, we're gonna do the same thing into knee extension, which is straightening out the leg. So similarly, you can put your heel on top of the support, and then we're just working on driving that knee back, straightening that joint out. So we're not trying to win any awards for who's got the best range of motion right now. We're literally just trying to work within our own range of motion and see how much we can expose that joint without creating pain. So we're just trying to find kind of where we're at here by straightening out the leg. Again, maybe 10 repetitions per side. After you're done with that, you can get in front of your couch, chair, or plyo box, and we're just gonna start to load the joint just a little bit. I like to do a supported squat, so a box squat or a bench squat, because then you've got something to lean back on, so you're not putting all of the stress or all of your weight into the knee joint. So from here, we're just gonna drop back, hinge our hips back, start to load those knees. You can counterweight your arms forward, and we're gonna be here again for maybe 10 reps, just to start to warm up the hips and the lower body. So the reason that I love the TANK M3 versus the traditional sled is because there is a lot of versatility with where you can use this. So if you're a gym owner or you have a space at home and you don't have turf or carpet or anything that you feel comfortable pushing or pulling a traditional sled on, the wheels really make it where you've got this controlled resistance and movement. So you can really use it on any surface, even outside, which is a nice benefit. The other thing that's nice about the Torque TANK M3 is that it's got this lever where you can actually change the resistance without having to add a bunch of clunky weights on top of the machine. So if you're changing between clients, if you're a gym owner, or if you're in a group class and you need to transition quickly, it's literally the flick of a lever instead of having to unload and load different weights on at different times. So that is a huge benefit as well. One of the other features that I love specifically about the TANK M3 is this data console that it has. So you can measure how far you are pushing or pulling the tank, which is a really good feature, especially when you're trying to build up strength and resilience as part of a rehab program or as part of a strength training program. I also find that, you know, as our joints age, it's really nice to have that smooth, controlled resistance that you can get with the TANK M3 or any of the Torque tanks that you might not get if you're pulling a traditional sled across a carpet or a piece of turf. So like I mentioned, today we're gonna be specifically talking about the knees. So one of the things that I see with a lot of the clients that I work with in person in my clinic is, you know, different things like getting stuck going into a squat or getting off the floor and just feeling like those knees aren't feeling as strong or supported as they maybe used to feel. What I've noticed is there are definitely times where there's a blunt force injury, maybe you tore an ACL or an MCL, or you had some kind of contact that created that pain experience for you. But for the most part, a lot of people will come in and they won't have an actual injury that happened. So they don't know exactly what's going on. They just will report that their knees are feeling achy, or they're not feeling as strong as they used to, or maybe they're getting pain in their squat, or even coming up and off the floor. So what we're gonna do today is we're going to go through a couple different exercises that will really expose you to some of the different ranges of motion that the knee maybe doesn't get a lot of throughout the regular day-to-day in the activities that you're doing at home. And one of the big movements that we're gonna be focusing on is finding a safe way to squat down and load the knees. All right, we're gonna start with my absolute favorite, and that is the reverse sled pull. So with the TANK M3, there's an option for a carabiner clip. So I'm gonna put on these V-straps because this is gonna allow us a little bit more resistance pulling backwards and keeping some of the tension pulling away from the actual tank. So once you get set up, you're gonna grab onto these V-straps. And the key here is leaning back, because what we wanna do is we wanna try to get our knee into full extension, which is straightening out, so we can load that joint in a different way. We spend a lot of time loading our knees in flexion, and I think a lot of times, all that our knee needs is to kind of be exposed to a different range of motion. So finding a little bit of straightening out or extension in a weight-bearing position can be crucial for building up resilience around the joint. So you're gonna grab onto the V-strap, you're gonna get down into a ready position here and a little bit of a squat, and then you're gonna start to pull backwards and really try to extend or straighten out that knee as you drive back. If this reverse sled pull exercise is something new to you, it's great to start off with a little bit of resistance, because then it's literally just like walking backwards. After that, you'll notice that you can actually load this up quite a bit. It's really working on finding that quad strength and driving through full extension of that knee. So with the reverse sled pull, there are different ways that you can kind of build off of this in a more conditioning or a workout as far as the reverse sled pull goes. But when we're working on just building up strength around the knee, I want you to focus on going slow and really meticulous with finding that extension, because that's where we're gonna get the most gains, is really just planting our foot and then feeling that full range of motion through the joint. I'm a big believer of the concept that there are no bad movements and there are no good movements inherently. There are just different ways to load the body. And I think that the more variety that we can create within our body, the more resilient that we'll become. So we just did our sled pull, which was working on knee extension. Now we're actually gonna do the exact opposite with a sled push and work on driving through that knee flexion and working on the backside of our leg and the hamstring. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get into that nice low position here on the handles of the TANK M3. And we're just going to drive forward, again, feeling that press here, using the backside of our body to hinge. With the sled push, we're gonna be using the backside of our body, our posterior chain, to generate power. A lot of knee stability and strength comes from some of those supporting muscles on the backside of our leg, like our hamstrings and our adductors on the inner thigh. A sled push is going to be a great way to develop those muscles so that we can use them and translate to different activities like running, climbing stairs, and getting up off the floor. When you think of knee pain, I think one of the most common movements that people will report knee pain in is in their squat. So again, my philosophy when it comes to pain management is trying to not avoid movements, especially the squat, because you're going to be squatting whether you're getting up off the toilet or getting out of your car or going to sit down on a chair. A squat is pretty inevitable in your daily life. So let's figure out ways to train it so that you feel strong and confident in your squat instead of trying to avoid it. With the TANK M3, one of the nice features is we can pull this out and we can actually put it down to switch our grip. So we're gonna take these out and slide them into place. And I really like the variation of a suitcase squat. What I find with dumbbells is sometimes it's really easy to kind of go forward in that position, and that puts a little bit of extra stress on the knees, which if you're already in knee pain might not feel great. So what we can do here is we can add as much resistance as we can to kind of stabilize the tank, and then we can lift up and lean back just a little bit so we can stay out of the knee joint and really work again a little bit more on the hamstrings and adductors in that squat movement. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna step in the inside of the handles. We're gonna drop down, we're going to lift up, drive through our heels, lean back just a little bit, and then we're going to find that strong, stable squat. There's a little bit of instability provided here from that single front wheel, which again is gonna create more demand around the hips to stabilize through the lower body, which is gonna create more strength along the muscles that support the knee. Once again, it's important to expose the knees or any joint in your body to multiple different ways to load. So we're gonna actually work on a lateral exercise now so we can get the glutes and the hips involved to support the knees. So for this one, you're gonna wanna set your resistance pretty high. So we wanna try to have as much force that we can push into this as possible. So depending on your strength, you're gonna set the resistance pretty high. Again, you can add some plates on the sides if that feels appropriate. Then we're gonna grab onto the handles. Our feet are gonna be facing perpendicular to the tank. So we're gonna be facing away. And then we're just gonna get into that low position. I'm just gonna go into a nice slow lateral crossover here. So you're getting a little bit of work from the leg that is closest to the tank. With this exercise, we're really focused on the lateral side of the whole leg. So all those muscles that are on the back side of your IT band, from your glute all the way down to the outside of your knee, are working to drive away from that resistance, which is gonna help support the outside of your knee. Thanks again for tuning in for this knee resilience and strength building session. Again, my name is Matt. Like and subscribe to this channel if you want some more tank related content. And remember, don't quit ever.